and I am getting word that we are about ready for our next run. So, without any further ado, I will turn it over to ZELLLOO and Violet for Crypt of the NecroDancer Amplified.
Thank you. Hi, I'm ZELLLOO, however you want to say it, never matters to me. I'm going to be playing Crypt of the NecroDancer. This is a rhythm roguelike released back in like 2015. We're going to be playing with the Amplified DLC, which adds an extra zone, rebalances a bunch of mechanics and such. I also do want to give a quick shout out to the devs. This game received its first like major update within like the last 5-6 years, and they've rebalanced a whole bunch of stuff on the back end to make it a lot more stable and just nice quality of life changes. So big shout outs to the devs, because that patch came out like less than a month ago. We were not expecting that. I have with me a very fantastic commentator from the NecroDancer community. If you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Violet. I'm a NecroDancer speedrunner. I have probably some of the most high-end knowledge of the game. I do a lot of like score runs, which do a lot of very information-based, very like just know all the game mechanics and use them to your advantage, because this game can get pretty broken if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing game. So we're going to be playing story mode today right here. There's going to be 4 characters in story mode, and we actually have a soundtrack bid war going on, and I actually need to finalize what the first soundtrack is going to be.
It was Virt.
Vert. All right, so make sure, I'm pretty sure I have Vert already set up here. Let me just check soundtracks here. We've got Vert for Cadence, and we've got Vert for Nocturna. Okay, so how this works is that we're going to use Vert for the first 2 characters, Nocturna and Cadence. The bid war is going to remain open, and the next soundtrack that's highest up will be the soundtrack for the next 2 characters after those. So you have time to influence that bid war if you want. But I think we're about ready to go. I'm going to let Violet pretty much take over commentary, because I do need to focus for this. It's a pretty deadly run. So we'll go in 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, good luck! Alright, so this is Crypt of the NecroDancer, like ZELLLOO said. It is it's a rhythm-based roguelike. And it is released back in 2015. One of the core mechanics is that everything goes to the beat of the music. So you're on the beat of the music, the enemies are on the beat of the music, and other than that, it's a pretty normal dungeon crawler. And basically the point of the music is that the designer of the game, Ryan Clark, basically was like, well, what if you had one of the old style dungeon crawlers, but you couldn't just think forever about every move. You had to, the game kind of took some agency back and made you...
Blood drum?
Bye-bye blood drum. Oh, and bye-bye
leprechaun. The leprechaun is leprechaun, is what we like to say. That's my fault.
Yeah, leprechaun spawns when you have a big pile of gold on the ground, and if you kill it, you get a nice item that helps you deal with the bats. But you get hit by it, it steals all your money and runs away. So, unfortunately, you do not have that item. Yeah. I think that is, as far as how this game works, you're playing it, is that it was designed to basically be played on advanced pad. You only have 4 directions to move, and if you move into an enemy, that's just how you attack. Some weapons, like the dagger that you start out with, or the cutlass, which Nocturna starts out with, has a pretty narrow attack radius. It'll only attack the enemy like next to you or 2 squares in front of you, whereas like a whip or an axe like this will have a much wider attack range.
Yeah, we want to get off the whip. The whip is the worst weapon type in the game by far.
Yeah, the whip is pretty bad because it hits a wide area, but only ever hits one enemy at a time, which means that you can often end up moving into enemies that you don't actually want to kill. And they stop you from getting to the exit, which is not what you want. And then the axe is kind of the reverse of that, is you move even if you're attacking with the axe, and a couple other weapons, which makes them the most powerful for speedrunning, because you're moving towards the exit and killing enemies. And the axe is the strongest because it's the only one that does the AoE damage on the lunge there, as ZELLLOO is sort of demonstrating.
Pain is really tempting.
Items.
I don't think I'm going to take leaping for a marathon.
Yeah. Yeah, leaping, the little green boots there are an item that let you move 2 tiles every turn instead of just 1, which is very strong if you use it properly, and utterly terrifying on top of that. So it is a very difficult item to use. You will not be seeing that I'll take that. He'll be taking the Ring of Pain, though, which is very nice, because whenever you attack, it makes it does damage to every enemy that is around you, so it gives some added AoE, and it gets around things like Blade Master armor, which we will see later in this run. So about the different characters, so there are 4 characters in story mode. There's the original 3, which are Cadence, who is the default character and has no special restrictions. Melody, who has a special weapon that she starts the game with, and there's Arya, who we will get to. And the DLC, Amplified, added Nocturna, who is a prequel character. She is a vampire, and she can transform into a bat with the spell that you see in the top right corner there. And that lets her... It gives up all of her items, but it gives her a strong melee attack and some inherent regen.
Okay, apparently my build is like completely done now because I see a titanium rapier in the shop here.
Yeah,
this is disgusting right now.
Yeah, ZELLLOO found a lot of pretty strong items. Right off the bat, we saw that ZELLLOO Courage, which is by far the strongest shovel in the game. Whenever you dig a wall, you just move into it. And on top of that, you get invulnerability for that beat. So you can usually just skirt around floors pretty quickly, and you don't have to worry about walls. They don't slow you down at all. And the Rapier is another one of the move attack weapons. When you have the Ring of Pain, it's almost the same as an axe. It has the same sort of AoE range. And we got some armor, and a nice spell. So ZELLLOO is doing pretty fine here. As we get later into the run, the characters generally get harder later in the story mode run. Nocturna kind of has the most safety, because if Nocturna were to die, she would instead transform into a bat. She can only die for real if she takes lethal damage while she's in bat form. So for that reason, mostly ZELLLOO's going to be staying in human form. Also because he has lots of good items that he wants to be using.
Also got a potion like earlier during Zone 2, which is basically an extra life, so a lot of safety on this build right now.
Yeah, a lot of safety, but it does not...
Well, there's goo right there, so not very safe anymore.
Yeah, Zone 4, I guess I didn't talk about the other zones at all. Zone 1 is kind of this like dirt cave theme. Most of the enemies are slimes, which just move back and forth and don't actually chase you. Zone 2 has a bunch of slow enemies with a lot of HP. Zone 3 has a lot of fast enemies and ones that drop hazards on the ground. And then Zone 4 just has a little bit of everything. It's just a very difficult zone, especially these big golems here that drop goo on the ground when you hit them. And if you're on goo, you can't attack or dig, and you take double damage, so it's pretty scary. And one of Nocturna's special mechanics, besides the special bat form, is that he gets a little bit of the DLC zone, Zone 5, in every floor that she plays. Kind of the devs wanting to showcase a new zone, I guess. And yeah, that's this room with the wire here that you're seeing. There's new enemies there. Well, new. The Amplified DLC came out in like 2017, so not new anymore, but you know.
Close enough new.
Yeah. So here you got Death Metal. Death Metal's me taken out pretty quick. Every zone in the game has 3 floors and a boss. The music on each floor is basically it's the same across runs, so the 3-1, 3-2, 3-3 music is just going to be the same. It gets faster as the game goes on. For the most part, sometimes a little bit slower. And that is a lot of what makes the game more difficult in the late game, is that you just have a lot less time to react to beats. 4-3 in particular has a BPM of, I think, 165. And like if you're like a seasoned rhythm game player, you're like, oh, you're just tapping like quarter notes at 165 BPM. That's nothing. Well, it's not just that you're reading arrows on the screen. There's like a lot of items that you have. There's a lot of enemies on the screen. There's a lot of different interactions that you have to keep in mind. So it is actually not quite as easy as you might think. And yeah, so there are also characters that just move on every 8th note instead of every quarter note. But we will not be seeing those today. Right. So here's Frankenstein Way. One of the things that makes the story characters different from all the other characters, besides the fact that
I forgot I had grenades. I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah, it did. It did. Yeah, besides the fact that they have cutscenes, the story characters have special bosses. So Nocturne is the only character in the game that gets this Frankenstein Way boss, and then afterwards, well, that was a fast fight.
That was pretty good.
We fight the conductor, who is kind of this. He's got a bunch of strong magical instruments and some electrical wires that you have to walk up to destroy them.
Thankfully, we have some grenades, so that'll make phase 2 go by faster because we can. You're supposed to hit the batteries and drain them, but we can just use some of the grenades to just blow the batteries up manually, which is nice.
Yep. So we will be seeing that here. This is a very complicated fight. I could spend like 30 minutes talking about this fight, but for the most part, the important thing is that each battery does a different thing, and the stronger ones are generally on the left. Yeah, they're going to be using a water ball there because if you kill a water ball on the wire drops water and it short circuits the wire, so it just kills that battery. So yep, ZELLLOO just kind of waiting for more enemies to spawn to shock the wire, or shock the battery, and he is just about done with Nocturna here.
Nice.
GG! The first one of 4.
Down.
Yeah. Now we're on Cadence. This is a permadeath roguelike. Once you die, you go back to the lobby and you have nothing. You start the run with just a basic dagger and a bomb and nothing else.
Ooh, that's a good find.
Yeah, that's a good start.
Especially with the potion right next to it.
Yeah, Shovel of Strength makes you dig bigger, which is nice because it clears out more walls for giving you more space to maneuver in, and it gives you an extra damage, so also a very strong shovel here. And the potion, again, for that extra life. So for story mode, normally you have to beat all 4 characters in a row without dying. So that's 20 zones in a row, and the aria, especially at the end, gets pretty difficult. So that is going to be something that might not go super well. Hopefully it will, but sometimes aria just kills you.
If for marathon safety, if that does happen, we'll just reload and do single characters to finish out the run, just to have a nice full showcase. But I'm hoping I can get everything first try here.
Yeah, we've had story mode relays or showcases before, and we've gotten first clears on each character most of the time, so it's probably not too much to have.
So I got time to sneak in a quick donation?
Yep.
We did get a $100 donation from Anonymous, so I want to say thank you very much. And right now that does put OC Remix in the lead for our second Bid War soundtrack at the moment.
Oh wow, thank you. Yeah, very much appreciated the donation.
Alright, so we're on to Coral Rift here. Coral Rift is kind of an octopus boss. You have to walk up and hit him in the middle there, and then he teleports away.
I don't like this. That's
Hello.
bad. I think we're in trouble here.
Okay, we're not dead. Unfortunately, at the end of the boss, if you beat it without missing a beat, without taking damage, you get boss chests at the end. And the boss chests are usually how you get your good weapon, because the boss chests are very, they're rare items, they're high tier items. Zello's not going to be getting that, but you're going to find a chest here. Yeah, it's a decent weapon. It's titanium, which means it does 2 damage. There's 6 different weapon types. Titanium is probably the easiest to use. Doing extra damage is of course good. The other really good one to look out for is the obsidian weapons, which deal damage based on your multiplier. Multiplier is that thing you can see at the bottom of the screen there. It says coin multiplier. It gives you extra gold when you kill enemies if you are keeping your beat up, and it also affects obsidian weapons.
I'm going to be doing a bit more farming here because that was not great what happened. But here, there is a blood rapier in the shop, which is actually a pretty useful type right now.
Yeah, blood weapons, every 10 kills they'll heal you for half a heart. It's not a super ton of healing, but it's a lot better than nothing. So ZELLLOO's going to be pretty excited to see that. And again, it's a rapier, which does that dash attack when you attack. So you move and deal damage to the enemy at the same time, which is very strong for speedrunning. So generally what you want to be looking for when you're doing, especially marathon safe runs, is you're basically looking for a good weapon, you're looking for a little bit of healing, you're looking for armor, and you're looking for mapping. The floors in this game are procedurally generated.
Oh, thank goodness.
That's not something we mentioned, is that ZELLLOO has not seen these dungeons at all before. They're completely random. There's some tricks that you can use to figure out where the exit will be in each one, except Zone 3. Zone 3 just does whatever it wants.
Yeah, it's a challenge to navigate Zone 3 unless you have a map. And thankfully I have a good torch, which helps speed that up a bit.
Yeah, the torch will help a lot here. Yeah, there are pretty consistent rules for the other zones. Zone 2 is kind of the opposite of the way that the game wants you to go with the paths it gives you. Zone 1 is just usually in the bottom corner, and there's a lot of shovels in the shop.
Yeah, I don't want to take either of them because I don't want to lose the damage on the rapier. Yeah, we have like a critical threshold for damage. You want to be able to do like 3 damage minimum, and I'm just barely doing that on a lunge because the rapier does double damage on the lunge from the base damage.
Right. So that is, we want to be keeping that strength shovel for the extra damage. Yeah, and ZELLLOO is still lacking armor here, which is not great, although he did pick up a Ring of Peace in the last boss chest. He's very strong. It removes 8 enemies at the start of every floor. And it makes the mini-boss weaker, has less health, does less damage. If it's a dragon, it doesn't breathe fire or ice at you. Very strong item. And makes things a lot safer.
This is a guaranteed food shop right here. So there's secret shops depending on the type of cracked walls. And we know this one is a food shop because we didn't see... the last tier 3 wall we checked, I think, was the pawnbroker. And there's only 2 types of tier 3 wall shops, so we knew this was the food shop, which is good, so we can get more health.
Yeah, so there's a lot of little tricks like that you can use to figure out, oh, when there's this cracked wall of this wall type, there's only 2 or 3 different types of secret shops it can be. The food shop is very strong. It just gives you a bunch of extra heart containers, which, is good for safety because you have more health. Most enemies in this game can only go up to 3 hearts of damage. Even the strongest ones generally only deal 3 hearts of damage. So having 7 is definitely nice for safety. Can guaranteed take at least 2 hits. Probably a lot more if we're not getting hit by the strongest enemies.
The rough part is that the goo in Zone 4 doubles damage dealt to me before any kind of armor is applied, so I can still die pretty easily from that.
Yeah, if we get stuck on goo, there's going to be a problem. There are boots that protect from goo, but we have not seen any this run yet, so... Yeah, and that monocle that we have, that headgear, lets us see all items and all cracked walls on the map. So you can see, like, that boss shrine there at the bottom. You normally wouldn't be able to see that, but it shows you.
I see. I'm going to take that crown just in case.
Yeah, Crown of Thorns is the same as a blood weapon, except it goes in your head slot, so it lets you heal every 10 kills, and they stack if you have a blood weapon and a Crown of Thorns, so now ZELLLOO's getting a heal every 5 kills. The glass armor that ZELLLOO just broke is armor that lets you... It takes 1 hit, and then it breaks. So you are immune to 1 hit of damage. Yeah, like I said earlier, Cadence is the default character. The only thing that's different from any other character is that she has special story bosses at the end. Cadence is where you will be starting if you pick up Crypt of the NecroDancer and just start playing. And she's a pretty good time. So if you like what you're seeing, you should try out the game, I think.
Yeah, the only other thing I'd want out of shops right now would be armor, but I've got enough health with the Crown of Thorns healing me and the blood weapon. So, and Zone 5 is a great place to get kills because the wire mechanic allows me to just zap a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, the electricity will zap the enemies that are adjacent to each other. It's a chain lightning sort of effect, and that counts for your damage for your blood weapons. Right. So yeah, ZELLLOO has been making this run a little bit scary with no armor, but I
have to cut you off real quick, sorry, because we actually need to close the second track for the Dead War right now before we get to the next character. So I will need to know who that character is when we finish the second of our 2 bosses coming up.
So Cadence, like Nocturne, also has 2 bosses. She has Deadringer, and then inside Deadringer is actually her father, who's Nurse L. And
Thanks, Dad.
yeah, and then you fight the NecroDancer, who you might know from the title of the game, with her dad. So normally you do these button puzzles by having both characters stand on the button at the same time, but if you have your own bombs, you can just like dig out the stage yourself, which is a lot faster. So you just do that instead in speedruns.
And we can get an early hit here since we have the blood drum, so we can just smack him before he gets away. And now we have the loot, which is the most broken weapon that we will see some more of in a second.
Yeah, the golden loot is Melody's special weapon, which is the next character. It's kind of the opposite of a dagger. It hits every enemy. It is the only thing that hits without you directly attacking anything.
Okay, I need to know who the second soundtrack is real quick.
OC Remix is the one that won the second bid award.
Remix. Awesome. That was actually one of my favorite ones. So thank you all for donating for that. So we're going to quickly switch over Melody to OC Remix and OC Remix for Arya. And into Melody, my favorite character.
Yeah, let's go. Alright, this is Melody. Melody is like Cadence, except she has the golden loot. Like I was saying, if you move next to an enemy or away from an enemy, it deals damage to that enemy, but you can't deal damage directly. So if you get surrounded on all 4 tiles, Melody cannot attack. Normally she has to use her bombs, so hopefully ZELLLOO will not get surrounded, but or if he does, he will have a panic button available. But yeah, because the golden loot does damage to lots of tiles, and while you're moving, Melody's actually a very fast speedrun character. Nocturne is actually the slowest, and then Cadence, and then Melody, and then Arya can be any length of time depending on.
Never the food shop. Never.
Yep, never the food shop. Yeah, the 2 tier 3 correct walls are the food shop and the pawnbroker. The pawnbroker lets you sell your items, which is not useful in a speedrun, and the food shop just gives you a bunch of health, like I said.
Usually not. Sometimes you want to get rid of Glassjaw.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes.
If we pick up a Glassjaw in a marathon, I'm gonna have some questions, but
it's happened, unfortunately, by accident.
Yeah, accidents happen. Yeah, this is a difficult game. There's so much going on the screen at all time. Like I've been like rapping for the past like 20 minutes, and I haven't gone over most of the mechanics of the game yet. But Melody does not get weapons, so if you check a black chest with Melody, she gets armor.
Wow.
Are you cheating? You're cheating.
Yeah, I must be cheating. Instant pink shovel. This is like Melody's strongest item.
Yeah, because one of the things that cuts off Melody is walls, because you can't attack if there's a wall in the way, because you're not moving. But the Shovel Courage lets you move when you dig. So
another potion too? Wow! The game is really generous.
Yeah, normally you don't see a potion in your runs. You can only get one, and usually you don't get any, but we've gotten 3 in a row. So yeah, that's some good stuff here.
This is just wow. Alright, I got a quick kill for Melody for death metal here, so let's do this. I like this quick kill.
I love this quick kill. Yeah, very specific setup. It just gets past death metal's phase where he starts summoning enemies. Yeah. Yeah, the one thing Melody lacks in any capacity is damage. She cannot get any items that boost her damage, so she wants things like spells that will deal lots of damage. That's how you deal burst damage and kill your mini-bosses with Melody. Unfortunately, we haven't found any yet, so ZELLLOO is just gonna have to kind of like waddle around the mini-bosses with more health, fortunately. Not that it's too slow.
Yeah, the loot is just so good at crowd control that usually just really high-level enemies with lots of health are really the only stumbling block. Little smaller enemies are usually not that big a deal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and again, we got that potion for the extra life, and we have the plate armor here, so ZELLLOO's looking pretty safe as long as he does not get full surrounded.
Alright, let's hope Coral Rift's gonna go a little better this time than it did on Cadence.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty hard for Coral Rift to go bad on Melody because of the loot, but it's happened.
There we go. This also is why bombs are a really good resource on Melody, just the blast damage is very nice.
Yeah, Pulse Tomes there are also going to be super helpful. They deal 5 damage at a time in a sort of X pattern. So that lets you kill your mini-boss for each floor, and you get 3 of the tomes when you pick them up there.
I'm glad I got courage for digging that spider out. Otherwise I would have been in a lot of trouble with Telemonkeys.
Yep, the Telemonkeys are the pink monkeys in Zone 4. Zone 4 is generally there's very little luck going on in Zone 4, except for the Telemonkeys, which, if they grab you, they teleport you to a random spot on the map, just anywhere. It's very, well, you have to react to it, which can be pretty difficult, especially with how complicated Zone 4 can get. Zone 4 is easily the hardest zone in the game, and a lot of people struggle with it at first, and even after they have a lot of time in the game.
This exit room.
Yeah. Like, there's just a bunch of Blade Masters there. The Blade Masters are probably the most complicated enemy in the game. When you hit them, they parry your attack and back away from you, and then they lunge at you the next beat. Oh, there's some chicken for some extra healing.
Yeah.
We got Charisma for the price saving.
The swaggy ring.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can just get a ring real quick, just for we can get like regen or something. Shielding.
Shielding. Yep.
Yep. Shadows. Okay, we'll just farm for regen and then we'll just take that out. I don't want to farm for forever.
Yeah. And Shadows is a funny ring. It makes you unable to see, but it makes all shops free. And the Conjurer just lets you...
Well, better yet, let's take, well, we don't have the money, damn. I was hoping to transmog, Becoming, but I don't have money now.
Yeah. But we got Regen. Regen heals you for a heart at the start of every floor. Regen's super strong. So even if you take damage, you get it all back, generally. Yeah, and the way damage works in this game is it's just simple arithmetic. So if you have an enemy that does 3 hearts of damage and you have a plate armor, which protects for 1.5, you just take 1.5 damage. And most enemies do a lot less than 3 hearts of damage, so ZELLLOO is pretty much only taking half a heart from anything here.
That's why plate armor, like armor of most kinds, are just really critical for runs.
Yeah, our armor's super strong. And it's pretty difficult to get. Like we saw in the Cadence run, you were kind of just looking for it the entire time and never found any.
It's also nice because health makes a great resource too. Like you can absolutely use health as a resource through Bloodmatic or just tanking extra hits to save time. So there's just a lot of like depth in the strategies.
Yeah, there's a lot of flexibility in this game. Yeah, like we're just seeing here, you could just go through the swarm and tank a bunch of hits. Like ZELLLOO could have just backed up there and dealt with all the enemies without getting hit. I guess something that I haven't explicitly mentioned is that each enemy has a predictable pattern basically, and it won't. Other than the bats, which just move completely randomly, that's their pattern. Every other enemy has a consistent pattern. So if you know what all the enemies do, you can generally not get hit by them if you're taking it very slowly. But we're not going slowly, so here is the NecroDancer again. It's a little bit different of a fight on Melody, but same general concept. You just run up to the NecroDancer and hit him, and spawns a bunch of stuff to try and prevent you from doing that.
Like that mage pulling me back.
Yeah.
I had the goblin getting in the way too.
Yeah, that was a pretty good fight. You got down to the second hit before any bombers spawned. So yeah. GG there, that's a pretty good Melody run.
Right, and up is Arya, and this is where things get really difficult.
Yeah, so Arya is Cadence's grandmother, and she is fragile. She only has half a heart, dies if you miss a beat, which includes doing things like tanking a wall that you don't have a strong enough shovel for, or inputting twice in the same beat. She only gets that basic dagger. Last Forge is a really nice start. You see all the enemies on the floor. So Arya is a very interesting character because normally you're like, I don't want glass items because they break when you get hit, but Arya also breaks when you get hit, so glass items on Arya are pretty good. You don't really have a downside. The one redeeming grace of Arya is that she does start with some extra, the extra life in that potion, so it is a 4-potion run, I guess.
That'll be a new category for us.
Yeah. So yeah, one of Arya's one of Arya's like main plot points is that she is at the bottom of the crypt. Melody revives her with the golden loot, and so she is climbing to the top of the crypt in order to take the golden loot to a special shrine where she will destroy it. And that is why we start in Zone 5 and we go backwards through the zones in Arya. It's a very interesting mechanic, and it makes the game quite a bit tougher because the end of the game is actually a lot harder than the start of the game, believe it or not. So we will be getting to Zone 4 second, which is a lot harder than having it 4th. Won't have nearly as much equipment. But yeah,
that
Arya...
and the zone bleed that you saw during Nocturna, we're going to be seeing basically the reverse of that. We're going to be seeing these types of enemies later on in zones that they weren't really designed for, so things are going to get very difficult.
Yeah. Arya has the, like, I think I said it all, but she has half a heart. She's left at half a heart. She can't get any protection. She can get glass armor because it prevents her from taking damage entirely, but she can't get extra heart containers. She dies on a misbeat, and she is stuck on the basic dagger, so she will only ever be able to attack enemies directly in front of her.
I see leaping in that shot, but I also see a torch that's really, really good, so we're going to spend that.
Bad. We have to give up the glass torch.
As much as I want to take leaping, I know I'll forget I have it and probably die.
Definitely not an Arya. Arya is very scary. If you make one mistake, she'll lose her potion. If you make two, she'll die. Unless if you get armor. And you can get armor because she doesn't get weapons, so she can get armor in her black chest, but that requires getting through 5-4, and even then that's only 1 or 2 extra hits.
We're going to play this Fortissimo very safe. Fortissimo in this setting is a little tricky because of the mages.
Right, yeah. Arya also has a special final story boss, which we will see at the end, but she has the same bosses as all the other characters, just going backwards.
No protection, but more damage.
Yeah, this is one of the items you get out of the black chest that isn't armor. It's just the boost of strength. It's just a +1 damage foot item. That's all it does. But we're at 3 damage, and 3 damage, there's very few enemies that have more than 3 health. 3 damage is a really nice number. A lot of the enemies in this game just start at 1 damage, or start at 1 health, and then they have a stronger form that does 2, and a strongest form that has 3 health. So you can one-shot most basic enemies with this setup here.
I'll take the telepathy. Telepathy allows me to see the enemies. And since though it's one downside doesn't appear for Arya, its ghost won't appear, so there's no downside, and I just have nice enemy vision.
Yeah, the oh, bye-bye heart transplant. Very sad.
There's some protection.
Yeah, the frost charm is a charm that it's like the glass armor. It protects you from a hit without taking damage, and it freezes all the enemies on the floor when it breaks. So it's a very strong item, especially for Arya. Gives you a lot of safety. So it won't protect you from misbeats. So Zella's gotta be careful of that.
Yeah, pick that a little safe.
Yeah, if you are familiar with some of the more popular GDQ runs that have been run of NecroDancer, are there enough bats on this floor?
That's a lot of bats.
Yeah. Yeah, something that
Do a quick shot check.
Yeah, if you've seen the popular GDQ runs of this game, you might have seen Spooty playing Coda. Part of Coda is Arya's mechanics, with the half a heart, with the death on misbeat. Though Coda also plays at double tempo and cannot touch gold, so Coda is even more difficult than Arya. Arya was kind of made to be the like be-all end-all impossible character, and then people were like, oh, this is not so bad, and then they made Coda. And people thought Coda was impossible for a while, and then they started beating Coda. It's like, it could be Coda.
It even says, like, when you select Coda, probably impossible. Continue?
Yeah, that's literally...
Is there enough damage ups in this zone? Really? Like, that sunglasses would put me at 5, but I don't really need 5 damage.
Yeah,
that's overkill.
Yeah, yeah, now the deathless streak record for Coda is 16 wins in a row, so you know there's a lot of skill in this community to be found for sure.
That's not the armor I'm looking for.
Yeah, Karate Gi does go in the armor slot, but it just increases your damage. It also doubles the damage you take, but Arya doesn't care because she has half a heart.
So I am at 5 damage. I think the game heard me.
Yeah, we have the Frost Charm for protection and the potion, so we're not close to dying. And by we're not close to dying, I mean we have to get hit 3 times instead of 1. That's my favorite ring.
I know it's yours, it's not mine for this character.
The Ring of Courage is like the Shovel of Courage, except it's for attack. If you attack an enemy with Shovel of Courage, you dash forward 1 tile and gain invulnerability for that beat. It's really scary, especially in Arya, because normally one of the ways that you deal with enemies that are like kind of on an off parity from you, that move every beat, like this Banshee, you dig a wall, like ZELLLOO just did. Thanks for demonstrating, ZELLLOO.
You're welcome.
And the Shovel of Courage, or the Shovel and Ring of Courage both prevent that because you can't hit enemies and you can't dig walls to get on parity. Yeah.
That's fine, we can just run to the exit.
Yeah, the Frost Charm will freeze everything for 16 beats, so pretty fast, easy there. On to Death Metal. Death Metal has 9 HP, but we have 5 damage, so it's actually only a 2-hit kill. It's fine. Easiest Death Metal 3 ever.
Okay, there's glass. That's fine. We'll go down to 4 damage and have a hit of safety since I lost the Frost Charm.
Right, yeah. Unfortunate there. Are we going to see an appearance of the feet? Not leaping.
Probably not. I don't think we'll see the funny feet.
Yeah, Spooty took funny feet, and oh my god!
Green Bat! Bye, Green Bat.
Bye, Green Bat! Green Bats are the rarest enemy in the game, and we just like found one in a casual run, because why not? Green Bats are scary. They move every beat, and they can move diagonally. They're the scariest enemy in the game. So yeah, not happy to see one on Arya.
Yeah, they got the luck charm, so it wouldn't hit me unless it's literally the only move it can make.
Right. So good there. Oh, the Sark spawned in Tar! That's cute. I'm not sure if that's actually supposed to happen. It's okay.
There's a lot of things that shouldn't happen with this game, but they happen anyways.
Yeah, this game is a lot of fun, but it's also sort of held together by a little bit of a prayer. There's no game-breaking glitches. It's just a little bit wonky in just about every way you can think of.
It's so fun though. Like, if you haven't actually tried it, I really do highly recommend playing this at some point.
I do too.
It's not for everyone, but it's something that anyone can get into if they really want to. There's a lot of like really good features that help people get into this casually. Like a brand new, pretty much fixed beat for anybody now.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, there's a new mode in this brand new update that ZELLLOO was talking about, where you don't have to follow the beat of the music. Enemies just move after you do, which is a great accessibility feature. I'm really happy they put that in. So yeah, ZELLLOO picking up that heavy glass out of zone 4-4 chest, or 2-4. Arya's zones are confusing because it's zone 1, but it's the 5th zone you go through. It's weird. It's like the room's a little bit crowded. Yeah, and you can see like there's a bunch of weird enemies that shouldn't be in zone 1 because we're playing Arya. There's like, a little bit of everything now. Are we gonna take the trapdoor?
No, not for Marathon.
Okay.
So you can take trapdoors with Arya, but because it counts as dropping your multiplier, I do still lose the potion if I do that. So.
Yeah. Yep, but this is the second to last floor of the run, so yeah, ZELLLOO may be looking to take this in a one shot on no extra tries, which is super awesome. I think there's only like 100 people who have beaten story mode in the world, so like this is really impressive. Okay, forward rider, but we have a shield, so it's fine.
I got confused the other way. That's fine.
Okay, that's what the second shield is for.
Yep.
Alright, and we have killed the golden loot.
And time.
GG!
Thank you.
GG's and well done.
That's a really fast run, too.
Yeah, 36 is not bad for a marathon considering we had to really play it safe in some places, but worked out really well.
Yeah,
I think my best is like a mid 30, and you have to like really push to get a time that fast.
yeah, my best is like it's like a high 28. So yeah, that's super good.
Yeah, Violet's super good at this, but I am very happy with how that run went. Thank y'all for donating for the bit more. Thank y'all for donating in general. Just wanted to say quick shout outs to Fastest First for accepting this run. Um, I live in Texas where the abortion rights issue is a huge thing, and my wife and I are pretty worried. So I'm happy we have marathons like these to contribute to hopefully help at least a few people that really need it. But so thanks to the staff. Thanks, Violet, for commentating for me.
Yeah, of course.
Big
Thanks for
shout
having
outs
me.
to the community. Is there anything else you want to say before we leave?
No, thanks for showing off the incredible gameplay and the incredible game.
Thank you. Actually, I do have one more shout out. We do have our like online racing series, Condor. We should have a new main league season coming up soon, and we also have our junior tournaments, Conduit, pretty often. So if you want to get into like possibly racing this game, whether casually or competitively, you should definitely look up Condor. We're always very happy to see new runners and racers.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I guess that's going to kick it off for me for Rhythm Block. So enjoy the rest of Rhythm Block and have a great rest of the day, everyone.